call to order the regular board meeting at Hainesville, Village of Hainesville, for February 26, 2019, Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Please stand and join me in the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Mayor Jerry Daly.
Here.
Trustees George Duberstein.
Here.
Kreese.
Here.
Hein. Here. Darnowski.
Here.
Georgianne Duberstein. Here. And Chanel.
Here. Okay, we have a quorum. Motion for approving the agenda.
So moved.
Second. Roll call.
Trustees George Duberstein.
Yes.
Kreese.
Yes.
Hein. Yes. Darnowski.
Aye.
Georgianne Duberstein. Yes. And Chanel.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, a little bit of order on the agenda tonight, but I wanted to open up at the very beginning. The board should have received a copy of your packet, or to send to you a letter that I sent to all the Holiday Lane residents dealing with snow plowing and moving of cars. It was a general invitation to either submit information to me to present to you, and I have 2 emails, or to speak. And it appears as if Mr. Franco is here to speak. Please come forward, speak into the microphone, give us your name, and have at it.
Hi, my name is Porfirio Franco. I live at 184 Holiday Lane. And I'm here about the towing snowplow. First, I'd like to express my appreciation to the Public Works, for the guys that come out there and plow. They do a great job. And I'm sure it would be even easier if we could get the residents to cooperate. You got the signs up there. The signs are there for a reason. You know, I think if the village would have enforced it before and on a regular basis, we probably, this wouldn't even be up for discussion today. So what I'm hoping for is the village, will enforce that, just like we have stop signs, parking signs, everything else. And now these other excuses where I'm sleeping or this or that. You know what? Everybody, this is the radio, watches TV, the weather. If there's going to be a lot of snow out there, and move your vehicle. I mean, it doesn't.
Let me ask you, sir. Thank you for standing for. Do you have a car that you park in the street?
No.
Okay. I assume you may know some of the neighbors that do.
Oh, yeah,
and most everybody does.
Yeah, and that's another thing. There's vehicles that, I was just speaking to a gentleman over there. There's a vehicle that's been parked there since the last time you moved the snow. It hasn't moved. It even has a flat tire. It's in front of 152 Holiday Lane. It's been sitting there, that's going on 2 weeks now? And it hasn't moved. And that's not the only one. If you drive around, you see a few there. And people just...
When people have to move their cars off the street for snowing, and this is my own curiosity, where do they put them?
Well, you know what? You're supposed to, you have a 2-car garage. Everybody has a 2-car garage. And you're supposed to use it to park your cars. It's not supposed to be for storage. And I know some people try to do that. But really, I mean, the last time when my son was living with us, there was a big snow. We moved the car. I think you guys made available to park here and by the park also. And I think we wanted a parking his vehicle by Walgreens. We went there and asked them, and they said, fine, no problem. They're nice. They said, sure, you can leave your car here just for the time. So I think if somebody, and it doesn't happen all the time.
No.
Yeah. So I think really somebody could find somewhere to park the car.
I was just curious.
Yeah.
And I know, and I've heard from different residents, and Ms. Anderson, the association president, that yes, ideally people would park their 2 cars in the garage, but if
Yeah, I mean, ours is small, we do kind of use it as a storage slash, guests come over someplace, but some residents have bigger spaces, than we do. I mean, they're not that small. I mean, I guess you have people that just are pack rats. I would like the village to enforce the sign that's up there.
What's posted?
Yeah, what's posted, and if you guys want to be real nice about it and send out, you can have the alerts, the email, like either the night before or early in the morning and say, hey, we're gonna come, we're gonna plow, move your car,
So the board knows, and just to share with you, sir, one of the folks that had a car towed a week or so ago called and bent my ear, and I said, we sent out a call. We call it a CTY call, and I didn't get any call. Did you sign up for it? No. So, but all right. Any questions for Mr. Franco before I let him have his seat again?
My other question is, and this is just from past, when we dealt with this before, you guys are still not allowed to park a car outside of your garage, but still within that little space right there.
Yeah, we could only park our vehicles behind the garage, starting Friday evening at 8 p.m. and it's supposed to be gone Sunday evening at 8 p.m. So it's just
So
on the
there
weekends.
is wiggle room in
For their
your
association.
bylaws for that. Has anybody ever brought to Ms. Anderson, let us do this when there's
So their driveways wouldn't get plowed down.
Yeah, see, that's the problem, because then,
But their driveway would still, because they can still get through the middle. They just, once either that or get your car towed. I'm pretty sure people would rather shovel around the
Well,
driveway a little bit than get their
yeah,
car.
and then they're in front of the garage won't be clear.
Yeah.
And then it depends how much snow. I mean, there's been times where I opened up the garage and there was 3 feet of snow, in front of the garage for the wind and stuff. So,
Okay.
yeah, I just,
Okay.
We did designate an area for parking in those cases, didn't we, somewhere?
Near the park, almost any open spot they can find. And here, Public Works, but if it's a snowstorm, I'm trying to be human about it. If it's a snowstorm, you have to come over here to park your car. Either somebody else is going to have to follow you over, or you got to trot back home in a snowstorm. Anything else, Mr. Frank?
and another thing we have issues with is the one-way. There's, every day, there's people driving the wrong way down our street. So I was gonna ask if somehow maybe, if we could get maybe 1 or 2 arrow signs or whatever, like when you first, either they're not seeing that sign when you drive down Centennial and it ends at Holiday Lane.
And there's
Okay.
just the one sign.
Yeah, there's the one sign there and it's kind of off to the right a little bit,
Okay.
And then when the people turn to go down Holiday Lane, I was wondering if maybe we could have maybe 1 or 2 more signs with an arrow just to like give people an eye, of, okay, you are going down a one-way street. So if that maybe could, be looked into,
We could do that.
look into
Spike
that.
strips.
But yeah, that would be really, plus, and I think it's mostly, deliveries, the pizza guy, whatever, delivering stuff, they'll come and they'll drive, and it's mostly the ones, like from where, our street starts to the retention pond there. It seems that area there, when people get that far, they don't wanna drive all the way
All the way
around.
around.
So they'll make a, turn around wherever they can and they'll go zooming out.
Shortest distance between 2 points.
Yeah.
Straight line.
Yeah, and then they'll do that.
Okay. All right.
So,
I don't know if we'll be able, we can put more signs up. Whether people will obey them
Yeah.
would be interesting, but we can do that.
yeah, just maybe some just to catch their eye, some, because you always get, whenever we stop somebody, oh, I didn't know,
Yeah.
I didn't, say,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
I appreciate
Thank you
it,
for
I
coming.
appreciate you.
We're going to discuss this for maybe another minute or two. Feel free to stay. You don't feel obligated to stay for the whole meeting if you don't want to. But thank you for coming.
Sure.
Okay. I got 2 emails from residents, and I'll just give you the gist of it. It's not that much different than what Mr. Franco shared. A 20-year resident has says, you know, the sign says, don't park here 12 before after 2 inches of snow. It has been applied unevenly over the years. Our contractor has found that if he waits until the day after, for example, if it's snow, well, let's see what's the best way to put this. Mike, can you help me? Or
if it snows today, noon to 4, the following day from 12 to 4, they can move the cars, we can clean everything out. That's the way it's been.
okay.
We have been lenient about towing. Sometimes it just gets to be too much, we can't clean the road.
Mike.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Another side to this, trying to look at the whole picture, is the resident that got towed the other day had a $350 towing fee. And if the car stayed at the tow yard for any length of time, it would be storage fee on top of that. Plus the ticket, I believe, is $25 to $50. So that was also in the same email, the one-way problem came up, and also people parking there. Holiday Lane issues an overnight parking sticker. And evidently, well, a number of cars parked without them. Some, as Mr. Franklin just said, evidently stay in the same place for a long time, and they're not held accountable. And in my conversations with Chief Polini about this, he has informed me that at night, in order to catch all the cars that are illegally parked there, an officer would have to get out, use their flashlight, and walk the whole circle. You know, you can spot check or whatever, and the stickers are hard to see at night in many of our vehicles that have shaded windows. And it could take the full shift for an officer to accomplish that. Now, can they do it? Yes. Is it always going to happen enough to make a dent? I don't know. Let's see, the other letter referred to me by bad names and basically said if they don't move their car, take it. Any thoughts or comments from the board?
Who contracts with the towing company, the village or the association?
Neither. It's the police department, and it's a rotating, there's a different towing company every week.
Okay.
So there's no Lincoln towing.
So rather than, going out and say marking the tires or whatever, if they could ticket all the cars that are being parking illegally, that rather than towing them, maybe that would spark some interest in moving their cars. And also, I thought there was like some vacant land, or it was by one of the wells or something, well houses, that we designated as a place around Holiday Lane that they could use.
There was the village obtained some land around the well house that has a direct property connection to Holiday Lane. But there's no road, there's no parking lot. It was discussed at one point with the association, but once it started talking about cost, that discussion went away.
I remember that.
Yeah, and I mean, it would be an alternative site, but it's going to be a good chunk of money to build a parking lot. Who pays for it? Village, association?
Well, if it's not used that often, I mean, is it impassable if it's not paved? I mean, could you just put gravel or something?
It's grass right now. And, I mean, could you just put gravel? But potentially, but who pays for it?
Well, then wouldn't you
Yeah, there isn't on this, that's why I invited all the residents and we could see the turnout. So one couple and 2 emails. I will toss out, this is not a firm in place idea, excuse me, but it's one that I've given some thought to and talked to a couple people. And I refer to it as the Chicago approach. Picture Holiday Lane as 3 sections. Inside parking lane, middle driving lane, outside lane. Mr. Schultz, who just walked in, could plow the middle driving lane and the outside lane, and then if the car, and any open space or open spaces that is in the parking lane. And if the other cars don't move, well, then the Chicago approach would be they take themselves out. Just think of the neighborhood streets in Chicago, or if any of you live there, they don't get plowing curb to curb in the neighborhood streets. That would solve one set of problems, but I don't think the residents would be too happy.
Some cars would just sit there, they just leave.
Well,
And
can I ask a simple question?
Sure.
Why have the signs,
Microphone.
why have the signs in place if you're not gonna enforce anything?
Why have the signs if they're not enforced? Different mayors over many years have taken different approaches, and I'll be honest. At one point, Holiday Lane was a 2-way street, and there was parking on both sides, and that just doubled this problem. So if you have a 1-way street with parking on the inside, there are not enough parking for Holiday Lane residents. Even if you put 2 cars in the garage, if you've got a couple teenagers that have cars or someone else lives with you, you're going to have more cars. So I don't know, you can correct me. Have you lived there a long time, sir?
Yeah, I've been there since.
Okay. Has there always been the parking stickers?
In the beginning, we moved in there, they never want a parking sticker. But then when the parking started getting crazy, where everybody was parking there was cars there all the time, that residents couldn't park there. So they got 2 ideas. The first one was now you have to have 2 stickers. You have to have the brown that says Cranberry Lake, and now you have to have a yellow sticker on there also with a P on there. And you have to have those 2 stickers to be able to park there.
Park overnight?
Yeah, park overnight. And now, if you move into there, you're a new resident, if you just have 2 vehicles, you don't get any stickers at all, because you're supposed to park in your garage. So, that's why there's cars out there, that you see with just the old sticker on there, just the 1 sticker, or cars with no stickers. I mean, it's another thing, if the police could enforce, or would enforce the parking, I think that would alleviate some of the parking too. But
The police are frustrated because of the man hours that it would take to enforce it properly.
Are we limited to the number of man hours they can provide us? I mean, did we purchase a number of
No,
man hours?
no. We essentially statistically have 1 officer per shift. Now, do we ever have more than 1 officer in town? Certainly. When we call for towing, we may get 3 or 4 to respond, because sometimes they will knock on doors and say, hey, can you move your car? Or they can ticket faster if they've got it. I'm going to take a guess here. In your job, when you know there are established rules, and I'm guessing that they're not always abided by, and sometimes the violation, unless it's a real safety violation, it gets overlooked just because of the ability of management to constantly enforce.
No.
Okay.
We, at least for the company I work for, we are very consistent, we are very consistent in what we do and how we do it.
Okay.
And it just makes everything really easy, really simple. You know today that it's going to be the same tomorrow, and it's going to be the same day after. It's, the 26th week of the year, it's not going to be different than the 30th, just some consistency.
Yeah. Okay.
Sure.
Ma'am?
I was just going to say, and
Mike?
Yeah, I mean, we have the rules there, and the people know what it is, and we are paying for the police department, and I think if they went out and enforced it overnight, 1 or 2 nights in a row, and everybody got their tickets, then they would learn not to do it. And maybe empty out their garage so that they can put their cars in there.
I got a comment. Given the fact that people being what they are, many of them push the envelope, obviously, and we don't have a lot of time for the police department to be out there every night or every shift. It seems to me the simplest solution would be, all right, park on one side of the street, and we're just going to plow on the other the other side of the street and down the center. If your car gets stuck in the snow, too bad.
That's what he was just saying,
Yeah,
Chicago.
that's what I mentioned.
Yeah.
It's the same in Boston too, where I used to live. You put things to mark your
Yeah.
spot.
Yeah, chairs.
Dibs, parking spot.
Chairs or trash cans go in your spot.
Jerry, also with the police department, they also have a community service officer who should easily be able to write tickets.
Does he work an overnight shift?
I don't know,
Okay.
but
Yeah,
yeah.
okay. So,
Well, but a CSO could do, and correct me if I'm wrong, but if they're not displaying any of the stickers, they're not supposed to be parking during the day or night.
It's at night.
But if they're not displaying the stickers during the day,
they've changed that, yes ma'am.
Because it might be a visit or so that is going to take care of the elder or something, so they'll have to park during the day.
Yeah.
That's when
Or-
they work the
or a
stickers
guest.
overnight.
well, I was just thinking if there's consistently the same cars that you're saying they're not moving, they can say, these were the cars that were there, maybe, I'm just trying to make it easier, because they can see clearer during the day if the cars have the stickers.
Yes.
Those cars usually gone.
Mr. Schultz,
Yes.
care to add anything? Mr. Schultz is our snow plowing contractor.
Well, Dave, come up to the mic, please.
Okay, so as many years I've been doing this, I've done it from the beginning when Holiday Lane was built and so forth. It seems one thing is very consistent. Nobody wants to move their car, or they're not home, or they have first shift, second shift, third shift that they work. So that all makes sense. The dilemma is obviously everybody wanting to move when they're supposed to move. The biggest issue seems to be, we're saying consistency. That makes total sense. The rules have always been adjusted for some reason, and that's the people above that make those decisions. Union Square and Little Cranberry, to my understanding, they're allowed to park by their garage. And I know you guys have a contractor that will come in and plow, but wants to get in there and out of there because he plows for the season, not per event. So it's going to cost him money to come back after the cars have moved. Little Cranberry, Big Cranberry, or Little Cranberry, Union Square also, after the cars have been moved, if the plow guy cannot plow it, now it's up to the resident to plow or shovel in front of their own garage. This may take some of this problem off the street and put it in the parking lot and let the resident that is already making a mistake, let them make the mistake in front of their own property.
But if that's a private contract, we can't do anything about that.
No, you cannot, but the association can change the rule. They cannot park in front of their garage as it is now. So now you're applying a rule to make it convenient for the contractor, so the contractor can come in, be more efficient, make better money, get in and out of there faster. What does it matter for the contractor? Then he ups his price, unfortunately, but at the same time, the streets are taken care of, and it's fair for everybody. Like you were saying, all of a sudden you have chairs, you have garbage cans, you have benches out, everybody's saving their spot. And it will come to that eventually. It's going to happen. And then you're going to have people slipping on the frozen as the snow melts and it becomes an ice rink. Now you're going to have people slipping on the little mounds that are there permanently. You're going to have continuous problems. The police are going to go out for car accidents because the cars got over the hump and ended up sliding into another car while they're trying to park. So the part of leaving it is not a bad idea for the cost part to the village. I totally get that. That makes total sense. Or you do the completely opposite, have the association change the rule, put it on the association, and I hate doing that, but other associations do the exact same thing here in this town. So try to apply that, and then enforce the rule, the 2-inch rule. After it is done snowing, get your car off the street between 12 and 4, until it's plowed. That's how it works now. We go in there, we wait, the police department doesn't let us plow until all the cars have been moved. Once they are all moved, we're allowed to plow, and then we salt the heck out of it, and then we leave. And then cars are allowed to start to park. So, you guys are all teetering over what is best for the resident, what is best for everything, but the safety issue is the biggest concern, I think, altogether. And I definitely, I have no problem anything that's decided. The one thing that I did mention to Jerry in Linda's years, we do drive the opposite way in Union Square. We try to do it Big Cranberry. We do try to do it when it is dark out so we can see the headlights coming around the corner. The salter trucks are meant to salt partially behind you and then on the driver's side. So when you turn up the auger and the salt spinner, it throws it out on the driver's side of the truck. So that way the salt gets underneath those vehicles, it reduces the amount of ice. When we go in for cleanup, we're down to pavement a lot better, it's safer, it's faster, we're in and out. So with that said, that does improve and help. And as long as that's understood and we can continue doing that, by all means, I will definitely do as much as I can to try to help those residents that are parking on the street now. But back to the same part about enforcing the rule, it does seem like the biggest dilemma about plowing 12 to 4 o'clock after the 2-inch snowfall will be if it starts snowing at a certain time until a certain time it ends. Now you have the question, is it today's snowfall or is it tomorrow's? I do fully believe if you guys wait until the following day, do it, change the signage, change it to 12 to 4, the following day gives your overnight employees to move their car or park somewhere else when they come home. You guys can do your robocall, which is a fantastic system and it's helped many times in the past. And all we'll do is hopefully enhance and make it better for everybody. But again, I do think, back to the association, they have to start considering how to correct the problem themselves, not putting it all on the village. It's not proper. They need to adjust. They need to allow the cars to start parking in front of the garage too as well.
They don't even enforce it. They're supposed to, if you park your car in the back of the garage on the days that you're not supposed to, supposedly you could get towed. I mean, again, this happens once in a great while. And it seems like that happens to the person who never does it, and all of a sudden one day, for whatever reason, park back there, next thing you know, his car is towed. I mean, they also have they're at fault for not enforcing their rules also.
All right, let me see if I can summarize this, then we can move on. Summarize what I'm hearing. We know what the problem is. Potential solution. We continue plowing as we have. We change the sign to 12 to 4 the day after. I don't know if it's me causing the feedback or what. We strongly encourage, continue to encourage, because the association put it in their newsletter, we put it out in ours, signing up for the CTY call. We place a CTY call before we're going, and we can do just Holiday Lane, before we plow, before we want to plow the inner circle. Does that seem logical or acceptable? I'm not saying we're going to do this automatically, jump on this right now, but at least I need a kind of a feeling from the board.
Well, how is that different than what you do now?
Right now, the sign says that 12 to 4 after a 2-inch snow. So if we have a snow in the morning from 8 until 11, and we got 2 inches, according to the ordinance and the sign, they would have to move their cars that day.
Yeah, and if I can add, with that as well, if somebody has left for work. Been snowing out 8 o'clock until 11 o'clock, and they've already left, and they have 2 vehicles, and yes, they should park in the garage. They're not gonna come home, or they may not be able to come home and move their car either. That is an additional problem, and I do see that as a fair problem. Again, why aren't they parking in the garage? But they have multiple, members in their family. That makes it a dilemma that day of that snowstorm. They know the following day they have to get their car off the street.
And within the ordinance that we have, in all our ordinances, we have the capability of telling the police how much to write the ticket for. But this idea just comes to me now, so we kick it around. If a person gets towed now, let's say they get a $25 ticket and a $350 tow fee, nobody's got that sort of money just sitting around waiting to pay this off. It's almost inhumane. What if we didn't tow, but we gave a larger ticket, maybe $100? Maybe that would encourage people to not park the next time to follow the ordinance.
It's a start. It's a start. And maybe for repeat offenders, you just continually to increase the fine.
Yeah, we
I
can do
think
that.
there's only one way that this is going to get cured, and that's going to be monitored. I don't see, if we put up signs, nobody's doing anything, there's no fear.
There's no incentive.
No incentive. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, that's why I was thinking a larger ticket.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. When you're saying the 12 to 4, does that mean you don't plow anything in Holiday Lane until after that? Or do you do
No.
the center and the outside, and you're just going to come back to do the inside?
Yes.
I mean, so it's not like they're going to have to drive through 3 feet of snow?
Right. They've been over there already tonight spreading salt. So it just really refers to the inside parking lane.
Okay.
Okay? All right. Thank you, Mr. Frank, for coming and sharing your thoughts. Whatever we decide, I'll probably put another letter out to the entire Holiday Lane residents. Okay? So feel free to stay, feel free to go. All right, thank you, board. Let's see, we now have public comments. Anybody else sign up for public comments? No? Okay, so. Need a motion for the consent agenda, please?
So moved. Second.
Roll call.
Somebody's got something.
Check if your cell phone is on and it's near the microphone or anything.
Please move it, yeah. Okay, trustees George Duberstein,
Aye.
Priest,
Aye.
Hein, Jaranowski.
Aye.
Georgiane Duberstein.
Aye.
And Chanel.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Reports, finance and treasurer.
All right, so everyone received the draft from 215 of 19 in their board packets. Wanted to point out a couple of highlights. Number one, the budget is balanced. Number two, we have taken the $230,271 for the proceeds from the sale of Dunkin' Donuts and divvied it up in the following ways. $30,000 is going towards the gathering place. Two payments of $27,500 have already been set aside to repay back Dunkin' Donuts per our agreement with them. So that money is already in the bank, and we don't need to worry about where that money is coming from. We also took $55,000 of those dollars towards a new roof for this building because we had someone out this year and said we have about another year left on our roof. We put in $22,771 being placed in the general fund contingency just for a rainy day. And last and certainly not least, the $67,500 is going to pay off the Public Works building in this budget year. So that building will officially be ours. Many thanks to Kelly and to Jerry's leadership for paying off additional monies and refinancing the loan. We will be able to get that building paid off this year. And my goal for next year is to pay off the IEPA loan early so that by the end of next fiscal year, this village will be completely debt-free. So with that, you got to see everything on here. If you have questions, I have 2 favors. Number 1, state the page number. Number 2, state the line item number you're asking about so that we're all not fumbling. And please try to keep it in order, so if somebody is asking about page 1, please don't jump to page 23. So, questions? Going?
No.
You going? Too late, Georgiana.
Bueller?
Page 8.
You all don't even get what that is, so that's...
Yes, we do.
These are AP students, they're old. Page 8?
All right, page 8. Anybody have anything before page 8? All right.
Under the stormwater maintenance,
Line item, please. 011 dash what?
yeah, 0113510.307.
And the question is?
Well, I have a couple of questions on the Clark thing. I remember reading that we were getting a deal of, they were gonna hold the cost for 4 years for something that they were doing for us.
Yes.
But I'm questioning, what is it they do for us for that if they're gonna, if we keep the algae control and the winterization separate, what else is there that they're doing for the amount of money that
So are you looking at the Clark Fountain startup, winterization, and storage?
yes, that and the and the aquatic weeds.
Those 2 prices, and correct me if I'm wrong, Kelly, those 2 prices are, we extended the contract to maintain those 2 prices for those services.
Okay, so that's so,
That is the same price as last year.
okay, so those are the things that you said that were going to be set for 4 years.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. It's really expensive. My other question.
Well, I was thinking about just letting all the ponds go to seed and green.
Yeah, well, maybe we could walk on the water.
That's true.
Through emails, we discussed a little bit about this Hay and Associates thing. And we have $20,000 budgeted this year to do something. But it was my understanding that it was just a plan that they had and it was going to be implemented in-house.
Hay and Associates developed a plan on our request for maintaining wetlands, how to improve what we have, involved taking down a lot of brush, a lot of different trees. It was very comprehensive plan. And Georgianne asked about a cost. There was a cost in there for about $1,500, which was the cost of the plan. The $20,000 in here, Mike, was originally, we were thinking about having Hay and Associates do that. And that's what the request is for. But then in our discussion, and correct me if I'm wrong, we decided that we might be able to spend that money and do it in-house, but it may cost some rental for equipment.
Okay.
Okay.
So this is the worst case scenario, is what you're saying? is
Well,
$20,000.
that money's not gonna go to Hay and Associates. That was the original thought, but then when we looked at our capabilities and what we hope to do, we left the money there in case we had to rent equipment or contract with that guy to back.
And did they designate what the different vegetation was so that
He was
Public
suggesting,
Works would know?
he was suggesting Agent Orange.
Yeah, well, I was thinking that. I figured that.
No, he gave very detailed map and matrix explanation of what should go, what should stay,
Okay,
leaving it very native and natural.
okay. So then that's not something that Landscape Concepts is gonna do, the flowers and. I'm not-
Yeah, they're not, those two contracts aren't interacting or overlapping.
Okay.
Yeah, but don't Landscape Concepts have in that contract doing something with the wetlands?
Cleaning up the.
No.
Well, they have burns and, what else, herbicide in wetland, in summer wetland areas. This was taking out, Mike, what do you remember?
Landscape Concepts is also doing the inlet and outlet mowings also.
I'm sorry.
The inlet and outlet mowings, mowing around the inlets and the outlets going into the wetland.
And then you also have on there, tree and planting.
Well, you know, I can remember last year when we were doing the initial contract with Lakes Management, they only had $2,000 to deal with all of the restoration issues, which I obviously, from having worked on this thing for so many years, I didn't see how that was possible. Now you're saying,
No, we're talking potatoes and tomatoes here.
okay,
George.
so I'm confused.
Landscape Concepts will continue with the plan of the burns, the herbiciding in the burns, and removal of foreign plants around Cranberry Lake and a few of the other areas. This plan from Hay and Associates was more than just invasive species. This was non-native trees,
Common reed.
common reed, and it was, what's the best way to put it? It would go well beyond what Landscape Concepts.
Landscape
Has been-
Concepts never did
It's not.
the burns or the herbicide.
Georgianne, they did do the herbicide. Why didn't they do the burns?
I know the weather was good.
The weather, okay? Nothing they could do about snow in October.
Right. Okay.
All right, George, any other questions?
No, I think he explains.
Okay, thank you.
That's,
Mr. Darrenowski, back to you.
All right, next item up for bids is, anyone?
Any other questions?
Any more questions?
All right. Thank you, sir. Kelly, any comments?
Just for my demo, I don't even know if this is on.
Is the green light on?
Is it plugged in?
No,
It was a hint.
I think it's over here. There we go. Now the green light's on, now you can hear me. Just from my memo, tonight was the presentation of the budget draft, the final draft that we worked in-house and everything, and we had cuts throughout. This was like the 4th or 5th draft after our meetings with certain parties. So at the next meeting in March, agenda items will be the draft appropriation ordinance, the draft budget, and the draft estimate of revenue. No action is taken, it's just in the format so you guys can review it one more time that way. And then at the April 23rd meeting, we will have the public hearing at 6:30. And the public will be able to comment on this. I will have the appropriation posted in the foyer for anyone that wants to come visit and review it. And then later on during that night is when the board will actually take action on those
Thank you, ma'am. Public Works.
Hello, everyone. I still continue to meet with Mike about, but as of late, he has been unavailable because of snow plowing with him, and also a planned vacation, which he looks good coming back from. Mike has also kept me abreast of the new hiring of the new Public Works employee, Timothy Seller. Mike has completed the final budget cuts and were submitted to John Kelly. I have contacted Chris Electric with a request for a quote of a redundant pressure sensing system for the water tower, basically. Also a quote for a new communication system between the two well houses and also the monitoring system. This past week we've had a few alarms generated with our old call one system. I asked him if there's a new system available that will be a little bit more, a little bit better, I should say.
What that system, excuse me, what that system does is notifies John Rucker of Robinson Engineering that something isn't working right, well, water tank, or water tower. So he gets called out, he's got to come out and check it out, and the system has been sending false alarms.
And that's a wired system, okay?
The system that was sending alarms was a phone line issue.
Right, it was a phone line issue, but, and that's what, when I talked to Terry Brown about this, he says some municipalities have gone to a satellite system, wireless, so we're gonna look into that. Our monthly water and wastewater systems report, which I haven't really done yet, so I figured the residents might want to hear this again. In the month of January, we treated and pumped 6,600,000 gallons of water, with an average daily use of 212 or 213,000 gallons per day. Routine sampling and laboratory testing and analysis were completed, and analysis of potable water were found that there was an absence of bacteria and deemed satisfactory. So Terry Brown and Robinson Engineering do a great job to keep us with fresh water, basically. And with that, I'll just move it over to our Public Works Superintendent, Mike DePauw.
Thank you, sir. We have one of our Hainesville sites from Route 120 completed. It was taken down, refurbished, and repainted. Once I get a little bit more manpower, we can mount it back up. Once that one is installed, we'll take the other one down and start working on that. When the weather warms up, we'll paint both mounting posts. We've had a total of 35 snow and ice events this year. As of now, we've used approximately 360 tons of salt, 1,000 gallons of Thermal Point R, which is our beet juice, and 600 gallons of salt brine. With the exception of a few mailboxes that got knocked down and the parking problems on Holiday Lane, we've had no major issues. Thank you, Mr. Schultz.
Let's talk, let me give a little explanation about the mailboxes getting knocked down. It's not that our plow drivers don't know what a mailbox looks like and they run it over on purpose. It's the pressure of the snow coming off the plow at sometimes. They'll hit a mailbox and knock it over. What we've done to deal with that is Mike and Dave have bought some 5-gallon buckets, some posts, some cheaper mailboxes, fill the buckets with concrete. With concrete, we go out and we put the temporary one, then we'll repair it come springtime, because we can't dig a hole now.
You just finished the rest of my report. Thank you.
I apologize.
He likes to step on you.
I thought you might still be on vacation.
Oh, once the weather warms up, we'll fix it down mailboxes.
Thank you, sir.
I just have to say thank you so much for the great job that you guys do, because it makes our lives so much better than it would be without you.
Thank you.
We've used 360 tons of salt. How much salt do we have left?
I have 550 on order. We are required to take 80% of that, which is 440.
Okay.
I just placed another order for 100 ton, which would get us to 460. So after that 100 ton, we might be able to make that through the rest of the year, depending on the weather.
Yeah. No, because I remember one year we were having, there was a problem getting salt in general, so I'm just...
We'll see what happens with this 100 ton, how long it takes to get, but
But we're not desperate, like we're not, you know, scraping the bottom of the barrel for this, what we're getting right now.
We've still got enough for probably a couple storms, and then the extra 100 ton should take us through the rest of the winter.
And then we start hitting the salt shakers. All right, thank you, Michael. Community events, Mr. Duberstein.
Okay, have a short SWALCO report. That's for those of you in the audience. It's the Solid Waste Administration for Lake County Recycling, folks. I represent the village on their board and also on their legislative committee. Two quick notes. They have a recycle event scheduled at their headquarters on 1311 North Estes Street in Gurnee on the 9th, Saturday, the 9th of March, and Monday, the 25th of March. But appointments are required. You can go to their website at www.swalco.org. Also, from a legislative standpoint, they're included in the governor's budget and also some bills in the legislative branch includes a fee for plastic bags. We're trying to reduce the use of plastic bags because of the problems in landfills and also recycling. And they didn't want to eliminate them altogether because there are some house in the industry. So having this fee added to the bags, which some of the recycle agencies would share in along with the state, is what they're proposing to do now. With regard to the Civil War reenactment on the 19th and 20th of October this year, just a couple notes. I've been, working on this thing off and on as I do every year. We've lost Jefferson Davis because of conflict, but we've added Mary Todd Lincoln and a Southern abolitionist minister to our presenter lineup, along with some of the others that we've had before. It looks like in talking with the leader of the Union forces that we may very well have a much larger contingent of reenactors that we had last year and the years before. But we have plenty of room in the site to accommodate that. And I was talking with Mike about what the workload would be, and basically they're not going to be able to, they're not going to do any more than they've done in the past. It's the increase in bodies of reenactors will be on them as far as whatever they have to do as far as setting up tents and doing the reenactment and so forth.
Don't forget parking.
Yeah, no, we're looking at that. I've got a couple of opportunities.
I hear Holiday Lane is available.
Yeah.
As long as it doesn't snow.
There you go.
Let's see something else. Oh, yeah. The other thing that will lessen the impact on his crew will be the fact instead of using these large golf carts that we used last year, and obviously we had to have somebody run them, and then they broke down, and we had a problem with that. We're looking now at using some small school buses instead, and the cost of it is basically the same that it would be for these couple of golf carts that we rent. So the cost won't be any different, and we'll have less of an impact as far as personnel is concerned.
Okay, good.
I'm working on an initial budget for this thing, and I should have some initial budget that I can share with you and Kelly.
Okay, very good. Thank you, sir.
Well,
I'm sorry.
There's there are a couple other things actually. One, you had asked me In the past, the last 3 years that we've run this thing, we have not charged parking fees, and we have not charged admission for the public. But you wanted me to broach it again, give the board an opportunity to weigh in. My preferred position is that we keep the admission as free, as well as parking. This is, and always has been, a budgeted item, okay? Every year since we started this. And our expenses have never required the use of all that we budgeted. So we've never had a deficit, and we've always been under budget. In addition, the generosity of our sponsors over the years has further enhanced the financial viability of this fence, usually covering all of our expenses in full. And last year we added a voluntary donation box that the public could utilize, and actually we made about an extra $400 or $500 on that. So therefore, there really is a need to charge the public for admission. And when we budget, for example, a road surfacing, we then charge a toll for the people using the road? I don't think so.
No, we charge taxes.
The expenses, basically, the expenses are covered, always have been, and there's no need to charge admission. Any comments from the board?
So, and this is my only comment. The budget item you're talking about is like the 20,000 you put in the budget for that.
Right.
But that is a placeholder for your fundraising efforts, correct?
So it's to pay for any community events that we have during the year.
But that,
But it's worked out because of our energetic, no, it's worked out that because of our energetic fundraising opportunities, we haven't had to use all of that money. And in many cases, you've been able to then use what's left over for.
we don't. So, the misconception, and I did the same thing when I used to do Hainesville Fest. The 20,000 that you put in is the 20,000 that we hope you're going to raise. So these monies aren't actually coming out of the general fund. They're put there, and correct me if I'm wrong, they're put there as a placeholder. So if you raise $14,000, that's your budget, not the 20. And I did the same thing, so trust me, I used to think that if I put in 20,000 for Hainesville Fest, I was taking it out of the budget. It's not. The item is there so that we can spend it. But your fundraising efforts, the energetic fundraising effort, and you do a great job, is whatever you fundraise is basically making that $20,000 up. So if you only raise $15,000, there's only $15,000 in the expenditure fund.
Okay. Kathy?
Okay.
Let me in, Kathy.
Okay, so a couple meetings ago, Mayor Daley asked you about thinking about another event besides Civil War.
Right, I was going to get to
And
that.
your comment to that was that that would affect the donations that you receive for the Civil War. So I'm thinking if you're going to continue the Civil War, then, and do another event, you should maybe charge for the Civil War so that the donations that you receive from our businesses and our sponsors can be used for another event for people that don't care about the Civil War.
All right, so let's assume we did that. what would you, or anybody on the board, suggest that we charge for this?
I suggested $5.
For parking?
No, I had for adults.
All right, if we take that approach, and we could, I mean, if we take that approach, we had last year maybe 800 people come in. We might have more, we might have less this year. I'm hoping we have more people. But a lot of the people that came through are children or young adults. And if we say that we're only going to charge the adults for this, and let's say one option would be to limit the total price for a family, maybe be at $10 or whatever. You're only talking, maybe, depending on how many adults you actually have, you're only talking $1,000, maybe $2,000. And if we charge admission, we probably would not have the donation pot. I guess we could pull it, but I was thinking probably people, if they had to pay to get in, they wouldn't actually donate as well. So, and we made $400 or $500 last year. So that would take away from, whatever we got from admission. So we're really not talking about a significant amount of money. Then you also have to consider the people coming in are they pay admission, but they're also going to pay for food and
Food.
food souvenirs. We have a couple. We're getting at least one more souvenir shop than we had last year. So this could turn out for the people coming in there rather an expensive proposition if you add in as well. Now, I was also, one of my other items I was going to talk about was, since you suggested that we have think about some kind of event during the spring or the summer, what kind of event would we have, and how would we fund it? And given the, now,
That's why I asked you to think about it.
yeah, well, I thought about it. I was also looking to see what the board might have in the way of suggestions, and if you think we might send out a survey to the village to see what the village is even interested in. Because a lot of stuff that we've done in the past, they haven't even showed up.
Let's focus on the first question that you had about charging. Any thoughts from other board members?
Do other events similar to this charge?
Yes,
And
it
if
is.
so, what?
Say again?
If they charge, what amount are they charging?
It depends on the event. Some charge $5, some $7. I know that down in Naperville, they charge upwards of $17. Then you have the settlement there and all the other activities that you have. But they've been doing that for a long period of time, and people are used to it. We haven't been charging. I'm not saying that's a reason for charging, but we haven't been charging. People are used to it. I talked to a few people, or grant you it wasn't a scientific poll, but most of the people I talked to, not all, said they wouldn't come if they had to pay for it.
Okay.
So maybe we would reduce the amount, in which case we're not going to get a lot of money anyway.
Speculation?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Jack, did you have more?
No, that was just,
I have one question on this. Okay. Last year, you took a survey of how many residents showed up and what was the percentage out of the 400 people that showed up? What was it that our village residents showed up?
I don't remember what it was, but it was a very small percentage. But
That's what I'm saying, and that's what I'm going to add. Okay, it was a very small percentage. Okay, and we're we're asking our residents, because we put it in our budget, to sponsor this event. Why wouldn't we be charging and try to get money back?
All right, let me just throw this out. Some of our, first of all, some of the people that donated to this event were not from this village. We got a substantial amount from 3 or 4 different entities, some dentist office, well over 1,000, a funeral home, a bank, Jewel, Ace, all of them not
In
Hainesville residents. We also have people that do come from outside, as you point out, but they do spend money in here. And of course now we have the business that we've added of Dunkin' Donuts. And so they're spending money in here. I don't know what percentage of sales tax actually comes back to the village, but obviously there is some impact there as well. I talked last year to one of, well, I talked to several businesses. One of them, 7-Eleven, said they got a big bounce in activity at their establishment on the weekend of the Civil War reenactment. So it's not strictly that just it's coming out of the village's hide to provide entertainment for other people. Plus the fact you get people in this village that take advantage of other villages, and we don't live in a vacuum.
Are those the same other villages that charge for their events?
Some of them do,
Some
some of them don't.
Okay, so your recommendation is no charge.
That's my recommendation.
Any other thoughts from board members?
So my thought is this, because I remember you saying you wanted to kind of take over the larger one, right?
Say that again?
You wanted to kind of take over the larger one, that way they were losing their place or something like that?
Oh, yeah,
Take-
right.
Okay, is that what we're doing this year?
Yes, we are.
Do they charge?
I believe they do, but they have a lot more to offer. Don't they have the pumpkin
But-
farm?
Yeah.
What I'm saying is if we're trying to take those people over to ours, and the people who normally go to that event will now come to our event, great. But if they're also used to paying, why not charge them?
Actually,
Wait, let
I'm
me
sorry.
finish. So, I'll let you know. We are waiting. You're anxiously awaiting. So, number 2, even when we used to do Hainesville Fest, we charged for stuff. We charged bands for the rides. We negotiated we charged for the vendors for booth fees. We negotiated low booth fees so that they would charge the residents lower money for food. So the residents are already used to paying for food and for events. So we can do that, still get some of that money, and maybe do a movie in the park in the spring or the summer, a family-friendly, and that could be another event that we could do. And even as you're raising money for this one, say, as an additional benefit to you, we're going to do this other event in the spring. We will also add your name as a thanks to that event as well, so that we're not taking away from this event. That's my 20-cent pitch.
All right, Georgianne, you're next, and I have a comment.
The place that used to do it is way on the south end of,
Nuke, which is about 2 hours south.
yeah.
Yeah, we're not gonna get those people. We're getting those reenactors.
Yeah, that's right. We're getting the reenactors, but we're not getting the visitors.
Well, we don't know that.
Well, but I mean, it's unlikely. We wouldn't count on the visitors coming next year.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
With increased contingents of northerners and southerners. We pay for them, do we not, in food, and actually there's, some of the presenters are getting remuneration. Are our costs going to go up because of the increased size of the participants?
They won't go up for the presenters, they're gonna be the same, and as I said, we lost a couple and gained a couple, so that's a wash. But conceivably, the cost for the reenactors may go up. If they have, like, for example, if we have more cannons, or if we have more horses.
Or if we have more bodies that we give food to?
Well, yeah, right.
Okay.
Just another thing, it's not, it's a challenge, it's not insurmountable. Well, you know, I'll figure out a way to do it. But we don't control the back end of this facility. And therefore, people from the members of the Norfolk Sports Club who have attended this event before can't come in from the back end, and they wouldn't be obviously paying.
We could ask the club to.
Well, the club, I mean, you can say that the club gives a very generous donation, so we can say,
Yeah.
you know,
All right.
split on that.
Let's see if we just take a straw count, and the question is charge, yes or no? Jack?
Yes.
Georgianne?
No.
John?
Yes.
Pino?
Yes.
Wally?
Yes.
And George?
It's like punishing the people that come to see you.
Well, we just have different viewpoints on it. That's a great thing about an elected body. We can have different viewpoints. We will continue, George, you and I will continue the discussion.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Anything else?
Do we want to send
Please.
when we're talking about other events during the year, I mean, we do have things, small events like the hayride and the cleanup and the garage sale and so forth. But if we want to have another event for the residents, would you suggest, and comments from the board is welcome, sending out a survey to the residents to see what they would even support, what they would even want? I know you mentioned something about movies in the park. We did have movies one year.
Movies in the hall, and it was during the winter, and it was great, but it was about as well attended as I thought it was going to be. I feel like if we rented a giant movie screen and put it in like, no. But you can rent the giant movie screens and the equipment and everything for fairly inexpensive in the grand scheme of things. We could still use the movie company that we have for the thing, pay for it, so it's a legitimate screening of a movie and do something family friendly, you know, and
The question is not what we should particularly do at this moment, but should we issue a survey to see what the populace, what the residents might be interested in? Let me finish one thing, Jack, then you're next. You used with Linda Survey Monkey one time. Is that a free thing that we could?
it's free.
Okay.
But you're also talking about making sure people answer an email.
Okay. Jack?
I don't, maybe if we did it on
Newsletter?
as part of the newsletter.
Facebook, website, all that.
Yeah, do that kind of thing, we can probably get more responses.
Jack?
I have a comment and a question. First, the comment. Love the new website.
Mike,
Love the new website,
thank you.
which leads to this. Can we possibly put a tab on the website that takes them to Survey Monkey? Again, keep it simple. Take them somewhere and ask them if they'd like to do these, you know, do you have a choice? Do you have a preference?
Yes. Thank you guys for coming. I know it's been a longer night than you planned. Yes, we could put a link of some sort. We'll have to kick that around, but it seems are we in agreement that a survey of some sort would be appropriate? Yeah.
The question is, do we give them some choices, or do we leave it blank and have them come up with whatever they want?
3, 4 choices and another option.
All right, for brevity's sake, and we are getting later, we still have business to take care of. If you have any ideas about what we could or should include in the survey, potential activities, send me an email, okay, or Kathy, and then I'll communicate with George, and we'll see what we can do about a survey. Fair enough? Okay. Anything else, George? No? Thank you. Tri-County Access Great Age Club, George Ann.
Okay, the month of March, the Great Age Club meeting date has changed. It'll be on March 21st. It's still a Tuesday, it's still at 10:30, but it'll be March 21st. And we will have a speaker at that meeting from Oak Street Health. It's a physician's office that specializes in seniors, and it's a holistic approach in that they have social workers there, they have people there that will help you with your insurance. And right now they're in Waukegan, but they're hoping to open up something in the Round Lake area. So I'm encouraging people, maybe we could put a little note on the website, have people that aren't normally ones that come to our meeting to come and hear what they have to say. Tri-County hasn't done anything that I've heard about. I was at the LCCTSC meeting the other day, and we're still waiting for the final report from the marketing consultants on the paratransit from the county. I understand that Lake County is establishing a task force to deal with all this transportation issue, and I think the plan is to have all of the stakeholders represented, the employers and needs of employees, as well as the seniors and the disabled. So that hasn't come into fruition yet, but it's in the works. And that's all I have right now.
Okay, thank you. We have no ad hoc committees at this point. Madam Clerk.
Our website went live the weekend of February 17th. It's been a long project since September, but well worth the wait. We have a few tweaks that are still needing to be finished, but overall, we're all very happy with the final product. I emailed all of you this week or last week, Friday or Thursday. Put in your mailbox, and I emailed you a copy of the Diamonds Rules of Order, which was approved last month. The reason why you have the copy is it is for your reference, and it's the final updated copy. Deputy Clerk Stark and I will be working on business license renewals starting in March. And then mark your calendar, the League of Women Voters are sponsoring 2 meet and greets for the candidates for the April 2nd election here at the Village of Hainesville. A lot of the elections are not contested, but they want to do a meet and greet so that you can meet and greet the candidates. The first one is Thursday, March 14th from 6:30 to 8:30. It'll be here in this room, and it'll be for Hainesville candidates, Round Lake area, and Grays Lake municipal candidates. Also included are park districts for those areas, school districts, and the library districts. The high school Grays Lake School Board planned a special meeting for this night of March 14th. So we are going to open up the Village Hall Wednesday, March 20th from 6:30 to 8:30 for specifically the Grays Lake High School Board to meet and greet. So those dates are on our website, they're on our calendar, and that's it.
Thank you. Again, it's not a candidates forum where you're required to speak and answer questions. It's a meet and greet.
just show up.
Yep, all right, thank you. Mayor's report. I want a couple of things this evening beyond the mayor's report that's in the packet. Today we sent 34 letters of ordinance violations for people who still have Christmas decorations out. Typically, we gave them until March 11th to get them down. And gosh, I hope they get them down by then. There'll be a lot of tickets to write. So that was 34. Each of you received, all the residents received a copy of a letter I wrote about, listening's wrong word, talking about driveway replacement. All right? So far, as of today, the deadline is Friday, as of today, had 35 responses from people who want to get estimates of having driveways replaced by Kaplan this summer. I feel very good about that. There's still a couple of days left. In the last week and a half, I've been in meetings with Congressman Brad Schneider, State Rep Sam Yingling, the Lake County Board President, and a number of mayors from the area. And we'll be meeting, I think, on the 28th with a number of mayors from the Lake, or from the Route 120 corridor. We're meeting with Melinda Bush. During these conversations or meetings where I sat and listened to concerns from different mayors, different areas, Lake County, roads, infrastructure, railroads, what all these various individuals wanted. And the leaders, Lake County leaders, Congressman Schneider, Mr. Yingling, all listened, they heard, but I came to understand that as individuals, they can't accomplish a lot. Mr. Schneider, Congressman Schneider will go back and try to work on coalitions for things that will benefit his district and the nation. Representative Yingling, I hope that he'll help us work on the 120 improvements. But standing alone, they're not going to do much. Then I looked at myself, mayor of the tiny village of Hainesville, and wondered what impact I could have through these people. And what I decided, and I actually made this as one of my goals and posted on my website, or our website when I got elected, is I'm going to continue my concentration on the village of Hainesville and our processes and infrastructure. I sat at lunch the other day with the ladies and asked for their assistance. And what I mean by processes, I can give you some example of things that I have done, we have done, and hopefully you can help me find more. The form that you got your budget on tonight was a process change that Kelly and I did 8 years ago to simplify the process. And it's stayed around. It's set a structure that makes it clearer for the board and possibly the public to understand. One thing that we've done in the office is we started what we call the F drive. The ladies, rightfully so, got tired of me walking out and said, where is this? Where is this document? Where is this form? What about this contract? Kelly would have some because it was her purview. Kathy would have some, Roseanne would have some. There wasn't a common, for lack of better terms, library. So we set up on our drive, our hard drive, a separate place where we started entering these. All the contracts, past and present, as many as we can from past, are in a folder on the hard drive. There's a folder for violations, so we can keep track of whether a person is a repeater. We have, Kathy and Roseanne have been entering ancient minutes, meeting minutes, that we can now search by topic or word, correct?
Yes.
What else do we have on there?
The general procedure book.
The ladies over here has developed this general procedure book, how to do this, how to do that, and it's been sitting on a file. But if they disappear or something happens here, it was one copy on the file. Now it's on our hard drive, which is backed up on-site and off-site. Let's see, special use hearings are now, we've developed a procedure for that. Let's see.
Personnel manual.
The personnel manual. processes and long-term plans for road, curbs, and sidewalk replacement. 5-year plan in place. The air relief valves that we just spent over $100,000 on replacing, we now have a system in place where they'll be inspected on a regular basis. The wetlands, we now have a longer-term process for maintenance of it. Items like that, and organized, as you probably, most of you have experienced somewhat. My goal is when my term is up in 2 years and 2 months, that the processes will be in place, documented, so whoever fills that chair next won't have to redevelop the wheel. It's not that the work wasn't getting done, it's just that the records, the organization was improved. I think that's a fair summary.
Yes.
And it's my goal to continue doing that. So that's my mayor's report, and feel free to comment or call. Yes.
Going along with what you just said as far as making an SOP, if you will, available for anybody to use, I have created a briefing book that's in your
File somewhere.
No, it should be in Kathy's office, of everything that's, and it needs to be updated, about the Civil War reenactment, so if I'm not around or anything,
Yeah,
you don't have to
we're
read.
aware of that.
My question is, I have a lot of this on the computer. You want me to forward it to, so you can add it to the computer?
It would be easier putting it on electronically than it would be copying the hard copy. Is that what
Yeah,
you
oh yeah,
understand?
no, I understand that.
When you get it updated, send it our way.
All right, and what I have it broken down by year and all the information, messages and everything else, procedures and flyers and so forth, by year. So I'll just send you,
Do you have it all in hard copy? Let's take a look at it. Sit down, you and I can take a look at it sometime, and then we can decide what we need, whether we need the historical view or just a current.
yeah.
We can do
Yeah.
both, but let's,
Okay.
I'm trying
But
to.
the information is available so
Yeah.
that we don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Good, thank you. All right. Need a motion to adopt an ordinance for the revisions of the Village of Hainesville's Code of Ordinances.
So moved.
Second. Roll call.
Trustees George Duberstein,
Aye.
Kreese,
Aye.
Hein, Dernowski,
Aye.
Georgian Duberstein,
Aye.
and Chanelwith.
Aye.
Motion carried. Ordinance number 19-2-279.
Motion for the approval of IDOT resolution for construction requirements on state highways for 2019-2020. So,
Second.
discussion? Roll call.
Trustees George Duberstein,
Aye.
Kreese,
Aye.
Hein, Dernowski,
Aye.
Georgian Duberstein,
Aye.
and Chanelwith.
Aye.
Motion carried. Resolution R19-2-130.
Need a motion for the approval of the first addendum license agreement for storage space between the Village of Hainesville and David Schultz.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Trustees George Duberstein,
Aye.
Kreese,
Aye.
Hein, Dernowski,
Aye.
Georgian Duberstein,
Aye.
and Chanelwith.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Need a motion for the approval of IDOT resolution for maintenance on an Illinois Highway Code for $110,000. So,
Second.
discussion? Roll call.
Trustees George Duberstein,
Aye.
Kreese,
Aye.
Hein, Dernowski,
Aye.
Georgian Duberstein,
Aye.
Chanelwith.
Aye.
Motion carried. Resolution R19-2-131.
A motion for the approval of IDOT maintenance engineering to be performed by a consulting engineer not to exceed, and evidently, the agenda first went out with $1,250 and has been corrected to $21,710.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Trustees George Duberstein,
Aye.
Kreese,
Aye.
Hein, Dernowski,
Aye.
Georgian Duberstein, Chanelwith.
Aye.
Just so you know, and you can tell your friends, the board has gotten a packet with all the information explaining these motions we're going through. So a lot of times if there's questions about the content, they might contact us before the meeting.
Good.
Okay, thank you. Motion for the approval of a resolution for the Des Plaines River watershed.
So moved.